Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Red Beard, and it is a damn fine day to talk about some books. And today we are here for Beard Book Talk. Do not remember what number I'm on, but this is where I show you what I read, what I got, what I'm going to read. I had a good week. Got through some stuff. Also, I went to a Goodwill, went to a bookstore, got some shit in the mail from eBay. So all in all, a very, very good week. I do feel we'll get in this. I feel a bit of a shift. I feel a bit of a shift from me into more. As you know, I've been doing nonfiction, but I've only been doing it like on my morning walks for the most part. Unless a book will pull me in, then it's not like I won't. I won't like let myself go ahead and read that book. But I do feel like this pull into maybe more nonfiction, maybe more of my Pulitzer reads. Like I'm really. I, my Pulitzer reads right now feel more rewarding than like my horror reads. But hey, that's just the flow. Like read whatever you want, let yourself read whatever you want. But I do. I kind of built this channel on the back of like horror fiction and like reading a bunch of horror fiction. But I'm sure that I'm not saying I'm stopping. I'm just saying like I do feel this pull, and so whatever. Let's talk about the stuff I finished. I actually finished 4 books this week. Most of them I had already started. So, I'm not saying I read them all this week, but I'd already started. But I did Heart of the Monster by Brian Knight. I didn't love this book. I gave it 2 stars. It's very, very short, like 40 some odd pages long. I'd read another one of his called King of Souls, and I really liked that one. Like I gave it 4 stars, and because I liked that one, I went out and found this one. His stuff's hard to come by, but yeah, this one just I just didn't really enjoy it. It's definitely an earlier work of his. Like this one came out in 2004. King of Souls came out in 2006 or something like that. But whatever. 2 stars from me on this one. I read Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This was my Pulitzer Project number 8, I believe. This one in 2018. There's a review for this up. Check it out. This is the gay Pulitzer. Pulitzers that they're all inherently American, and they've all and from my perspective, they've all had this angle of a certain cross section of the American population. So I've read one that's from a Native American angle, one from Jewish people in America, one from African Americans, one from this and that, and this one is so far at least the gay Pulitzer, and I really enjoyed it. Now I will say the first 20, 30 pages struggled with a bit, couldn't really get into it, but once I did, like I really like dug the story. It's probably one of the more comedic of the Pulitzer reads I've done. And this has got a sequel. This is part one, and I liked it so much that I went out and bought the sequel like pretty much immediately. So anyway, this is Last by Andrew Sean Greer. I can't remember if I was like high 3 stars or low 4 stars. I can't remember if I gave it four. I think I gave it four. I might have given it three. None of that matters because like today it's a lot closer to four. So after thinking about it. So anyway, this is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. I finished that. I finished Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Aurelius. I need to look that one up probably. Look, I get it. I like this. I like what it was. Some of it's still, super dated. None of it's hard to follow, but maybe I'm not sure I had the right translation. A lot of good stuff in here. Again, common sense stuff, but I needed reminded. I'd say most people probably needed reminded. The main things I took from this is how to deal with people, especially assholes in your life, and how to live without constantly thinking about death, which is a constant theme of my life. But a lot of good stuff in here. I gave it 3 stars. What I have said is like I like more modern books that maybe bring in some ancient philosophy and other more modern stories about successful people and kind of blend it all together. Those tend or seem to work better for me. But anyway, I gave it 3 stars, which is ridiculous. It's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, but whatever. I finished A Feast for Crows. I've not reviewed this yet. I didn't like this one at all, and I cannot be the only person that feels this way. I mean, this is definitely my least favorite of the four so far. I would be really surprised if that's not the case with everybody else. I mean, this book, there's not a single chapter about Jon Snow. There's not a single chapter about Daenerys. There are very, very brief parts about Arya, Sansa. Most of this book is Cersei and Jaime and Brienne of Tarth, and then you spend a shit ton of time with the Greyjoys. Kind of trying to determine who's going to be, the big boss after Balon Greyjoy dies. And then you spend a shit ton of time with the Martells, dealing, with post Oberon having his head crushed by the mountain Martell life. And this is where this one it seems to kind of start to break away from the show with the story of Arion Martell. And anyway, I'll leave it at that. I didn't like this. I gave it 2 stars. I mean, it is what it is, but I just, I mean, the fact that this is unfinished, the fact that it's never going to be finished, and the fact that this book was what it was. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, hell, we're not talking about long ago, but can you imagine waiting for this book, picking this book up, and then getting absolutely nothing about Jon Snow or Daenerys for 1,100 damn pages, and then having to wait for the next one? Jeez Louise. Anyway, Feast for Crows. I gave it 2 stars. So that's the books I finished. I finished, 4-ish books, whatever. I am reading. So I'm reading "Do the Work" by Stephen Pressfield. Really enjoying this. It's creativity, it's productivity type stuff. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed I've started playing a lot more music. I'm trying to start writing again. I'm trying to again. I'm one of these people that I probably reached like my peak of musical success and then retired because I had like a 4 month old baby sitting with my wife in the coffee house where I was playing. It was like my last show and it was packed and it was awesome and people were actually into the music. And then I quit because again I had a 4 month old baby, and we're kind of on an island. Like I'm from 4 hours this way, she's from 8 hours that way. I mean, if our kids can't go, we don't do it, that type of thing. Well, that little baby is now a 20-year-old in college, and my son is now a 17-year-old going into his senior year. And so, again, I am redefining what the next step or next stage of my life looks like. And it looks like this: reading, talking about books, but I also want to refine that creative part of me. Now, the problem is 20 years later, that little voice in my head says, no, this sucks. Don't even, and this is giving you all the ammunition to be productive and to shut that fucking voice up and say, just write it. Just write it. We'll decide if it sucks later, right? You know what I mean? So anyway, very, very good stuff. And I'm reading that. So I talked a lot about that. I am reading The Girl from Raw Blood by Catriona Ward. I'm not hating it, but I'm not really loving it. And that's my fault, not hers. I mean, I have read, they're back here behind me. You can't see them. I've read every other book she's written, and I really, really liked most of them. I think this is number 5, but it's her first novel. So that's the stupidity for me, is that I read the ones that are on the shelf at the Barnes and Noble, whatever, that I've seen the more recent ones, and then I like an author enough that I'm like, okay, I want to read everything they've written. Oh, they've only written 5 books. Oh, cool, right? And but then, sometimes like when I go back and read a first novel, it's of course I don't like it as much as the more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But anyway, so I'm not loving this, but I'm only 130 in. I mean, it's gothic. I will say that as far as like gothic horror, it feels like it might be gothic horror done right. I'm comparing this to like Mexican gothic that I just read it and didn't like at all. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely I'm definitely reading it slowly. Like I'm not flying through this thing. So whatever. Girl from Raw Blood, Catriona Ward. Um, and then my audio, like I said, I just finished. Feast for Crows in audio, and I had a fat stack of books that might be my next audio, and I skipped all of them and went into a nonfiction book called "The Secret History of the Rape Kit: A True Crime Story" by Pagan Kennedy. And I'm like 35 or 40 pages into this already, really digging this. So that is that. And I mean, I keep saying that I'm kind of reading this. I'm falling off on poetry. I just haven't really been picking it up. But my washing machine's making noise. I am still somewhat, I guess, reading this. So I got a ton of stuff. So bear with me. Again, after reading the Meditations, I picked up a copy of On the Shortness of Life by Seneca. I will be reading this very, very soon. After having read The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Again, I've talked a lot about him recently, but I picked up a, a 5 book set of his on eBay. And I mean, I enjoy his stuff. I enjoy his philosophy of stoicism, whatnot. But anyway, ego is the enemy. Stillness is the key. Discipline is destiny. Again, I already had this one. I already read this one. But the obstacle is the way, and courage is calling. Um, and then I went to so we went to Indianapolis this weekend. Took my son to a recruiting visit of University of Indianapolis, and went to a bookstore there. It's called Indie Reads. For also went to a coffee shop there called Black House Cafe, a completely horror themed coffee shop. It was pretty cool. Got a T-shirt, but I went to this bookstore and it's right there by Indie Reads. So if you're in Indianapolis, check out that area. I'm not really sure what I mean. It was a used bookstore, but they had new books. It was um, I mean, it was more of a literacy center, I think. I mean, they had a good sized bookstore, but uh, you know, anyway, so I walk in and there's some books up front, and I read this book and I didn't own a copy of it, and um, I'm like, how do I know how much these books are, And he's like, well, that rack up front is free, and they had like 5 copies of this, and so I grabbed one, but of course the free books weren't necessarily for me, right? They're probably for people that need them. So I wanted this book because again, I didn't have it. I've read it. But when I go in a place like that, I have to buy something. And I walked around and walked around and walked around, and I couldn't really find anything that I needed or really, really wanted. And so I picked up this copy of Crime and Punishment by, I'm going to kill it. I mean, I was saying this yesterday, like Fyodor Dostoevsky. Um, anyway, this is on my list. Like, this is on my list of important must read books. We will see, again, my reading direction changes like the wind. So, you know, but anyway, nice copy, kind of like a floppy faux leather, ribbon, got a ribbon in it and whatnot. So, I picked that up. And then some other stuff I got on, well, I got this on eBay. So, I got a copy of Ohio by Stephen Markley. Both my wife and myself have read this, and we didn't own a copy. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't know if this is a library copy or whatnot. Again, I hate that. I hate, having shit on the spines of books, but it is what it is. And then went to a Goodwill. Went to a Goodwill yesterday, our local Goodwill. My wife is kind of like used to be she would let me go. She would sit in the car and I would rush, like I would go as fast as possible to stay on her good side. No, I'm kidding. But now she goes with me, right? Because like we are doing this book thing together, which is awesome. She has read like I don't know 30 some odd books this year already. Like she has followed. I don't want to say my lead, but again, I'm just spending time with books rather than with the news and rather than with this thing. I'm just spending more time with books, and I've been doing it for a while. But she's kind of picked that up, and she's gone down a couple of different rabbit holes in her reading journeys. But she's loving it. So anyway, Goodwill, again, Goodwill books are $1.59 now. They used to be 99 cents. So I am a. It's funny to say this. I am slightly more selective. Like normally, if I buy something, you wouldn't think that 60 cent difference would make a difference. But um, used to I'd buy a lot of stuff there to sell, right? Like on my Pango store. But now if I'm buying it, it's probably because like I actually want it or whatever. I mean, you'll probably get the idea through some of these. But anyway, we got Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I think my wife has a copy of this in her purse right now, but I want to eventually read it, I think. And anyway, grab that. My wife is a Holocaust literature professor. She teaches a class on Holocaust lit. And so I found this and handed it to her. It's The Happiest Man on Earth, The Beautiful Life of an Auschwitz Survivor. My wife picked up Traveling Mercies by Anne Lamott. She says she buys Anne Lamott whenever she sees her. I don't know. I grabbed this one, and look, this is the book like much like The Secret History of the Rape Kit that I would contemplate paying full price for. I mean, it's called Weapons of Math Destruction. Math Destruction. How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy. Definitely the type of nonfiction stuff that I'm reading it. I mean, it was a National Book Award long list, New York Times bestseller, whatever. I grabbed it for $1.59. I got Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk, and I wasn't sure that I needed this. I did need this. I've read this, and I did not have this on my shelf. Grabbed a copy of Blockade Billy by Stephen King. Um, so I'm kind of in a place of buying memoirs, or well, memoirs, biographies, autobiographies of people, and I don't know that I'll ever read them. I mean, look, I've read like all of the Obama books, Barack Obama books, like I think three of them, like Audacity of Hope and The Promised Land, and even the one before that, Dreams of My Father. I read all three of those, and I really, really liked them. And of course, I've read like um, the Bruce Springsteen autobiography. I've read Steve Jobs. I even read one on Elon Musk like 10 years ago before he, whatever. And anyway, so I kind of pick them up when I see them. I don't know that I'm ever going to read John Glenn a memoir, but again, it was $1.59, and it just turned me on. I mean, I just could not leave it sitting there. I mean, it's a disease. It's a disease. So my wife picked up this one. I was like, Susanna Hoffs. I'm like, is that the singer, Susanna Hoffs? And she was like, yeah, Walk Like an Egyptian, Manic Monday, the Bangles. She was like, yeah, that's Susanna Hoffs. She's like, I'm gonna give it a try. So anyway, The Bird Has Flown by Susanna Hoffs. I did not know she was writing books. Picked up a copy of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Really kind of grab it every time I see it. I think it's a banned book. It sells pretty well in my store. I have a copy. I've read it. She's read it. But I kind of grab it. Now, one of these days, I really have to. I think Stephen Chbosky has a horror novel, like a pretty good thick one called Imaginary Friend. I think I own it. Matter of fact, I think I own a signed copy of it, and I've never read it. One of these days, I'm going to have to get to that. Picked up Where All Light Tends to Go by David Joy. 5 years ago, I read like everything David Joy had out, and then I lost track, right? Like I know he's written a couple other books that I haven't read, but I believe this was his first novel. Um, and I really liked this one. But I've read three of his books, The Line That Held Us, this one, and drawing a blank on the other one. But I think I own this, but I think it's a shitty library copy, and so I picked this up. But it's also the type of book that I like to have because I'd hand it to someone. So my wife read the 50 Shades books. She did not read this one. She grabbed this. This is, I guess, the one from the man's perspective or whatever. Again, memoir, whatever, but this is seems more like a self growth thing. Eleanor Roosevelt, You Learn by Living, 11 Keys for a More Fulfilling Life. I don't know. I actually I grabbed it, not her. It's my fault. The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. So um like the city of Maysville, Kentucky, like I think every year they have like this read thing, right? Like where everyone is going to read a book. And one year a long time ago. I think it was 2010. This was the book, and so like I've owned like this book like I don't know 10 times probably, and never read it. But like I keep wanting to, right? And like I know that I currently didn't have a copy and whatever. So it's just a book. It's the Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. And then a couple poetries. My wife picked up Rest in the Morning by R.H. Sin. Um, I read a book by his called something like Whiskey, something and a Shovel or something, and I did not like it at all. And I didn't mention that to her because, hey, maybe this one is boss. But because the one that I read was like a lot thicker than this, but whatever. And then she got, okay, The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. I don't know anything about this. I mean, it looks cool. It looks like something I would read. It's poetry. So, but anyway, that's it. Those are the what do you call it? Goodwill book that we got. So, yeah, appreciate you being here. I hope you're enjoying your books. I'm having a blast. Like, I mean, you know, um, like I said, I'm reading some nonfiction every morning, reading some fiction at night, doing audio book whenever I can, when I'm folding laundry, when I'm taking a shower, when I'm riding in the car, when I'm, whatever. And I'm really enjoying it. So, anyway, I hope you're enjoying it. Uh, if you're not, probably reading the wrong books. Probably, I don't know. I mean, uh, I still don't know how to do not finish books. I mean, I'm trying to learn. I don't know, like for example, like I just said about the horror verse, like that Catcher on a Word book. I mean, it's a shame. I love her shit. Loved Looking Glass Sound. Loved Sundial. I liked Last House on Needless Street, so on and so forth. I even like Little Eve, but I'm not loving this one, and I should just put it down, I guess, and start something else. But I'm like 130 pages in, man. It's hard. So anyway, I'm still not good at DNFing. So if you are, man, more power to you. Like I don't know what to do with those. Like if you DNF a book, like so I'm pretty Goodreads centric, right? Like that is the center of my reading world. If I own a book and I want to read, like I don't add any books to my want to read list unless I already own it. If I own a book and it's on my TBR, it goes in my want to read. When I start reading it, it goes to my reading. I try not to update constantly, but I update every time 50 or 100 pages, right? And then when I've read it, I eventually put a video review attached to it. I don't actually type a review anymore, but so that's the center of my reading world. So like if you do not finish a book, I mean, do you mark it as read? You sure? No. Anyway, I don't know. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you do if you do not finish a book, because I'm trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to be, again, part of this back half thing, part of this 48-year-old man looking at the back half of his life thing is going to have to eventually be, um, you know, not reading the ones that I'm not digging. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying all your books because I am. I am still enjoying them all as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong.